Hello and welcome to the DLC Richmond Grand Finals. So this is a green-blue mirror match between Fungus and Sky. Obviously, this is going to be a best of 5 series here, so it's going to be a bit longer than usual in these videos. So feel free to skip around here, obviously, if you want to see just the final game or whatever you want to see here. But before we dive in, I just want to note that we are pulling this from the Lorcana stream, so if you want to watch every single match from DLC Richmond from Saturday and Sunday. Feel free to go to their Twitch, watch the full stream. Obviously you can watch from round 2 all the way to the finals. So without further ado, let's dive into this game. Looks like Fungus and Sky have already got started here. And you can see Sky went ahead, played his Claire Bell on turn 1. Getting to go first here in the mirror match always feels pretty good. You know, you're trying to do a lot of the same things, which these players both got to look at each other's. They get to look at each other's deck list before the game as it goes in bracket play. So, they know exactly what they're playing, and it ends up these players are playing 59 out of 60 of the same cards. So only one card different between the cards. So going first in a mirror whenever there's that many cards that are the same. Obviously gives Sky a big advantage here going into this finals. And you can see they're doing a lot of the same things here. Both players inked the Malicious Meaning Scary on turn 2, played into their Tipo and inked another card, which we unfortunately don't know what they inked with that card. But very similar starts here. Obviously, Sky has developed his Clarabelle on turn 1 versus Fungus did not, which is always interesting in this green-blue mirror matchup. Obviously, I was at DLC Richmond and played green-blue as well. It's always interesting in these mirror matchups. If you play the Clarabelle early, it gives the other player an opportunity. Fungus on the next turn could bounce it with Mother's Knows Best if he's running that. He could play You're Welcome on it to stop that shit from happening early. So a lot of options here. If you play that Clarabelle early versus not playing it early, then at this point on turn 3 with 4 ink, you could play Cinderella, and then go into play Clarabelle with the shift on the same turn on with that 5 or with the 5 and 6 ink there on the next turn. So just a lot of options here early game in the green blue mirror. You can see Sky is not going to do anything on turn 4, just ink a quest with the Tipo because not worried about that getting taken out, obviously. Not that Fungus could even take it out if he wanted to, with just one Tipo down in play. But, obviously he is, just taking that low reading and get it, which in this green-blue mirror, very similar to, red-blue versus blue-steel early on before Hiram was banned. Very, very similar space where any lore you can get at any point in the game can be very, very important later on in the game, right? So, an option for these 1, 2, 3s. At the end of the game, you sometimes lose games because you can't find that last 1, 2, or 3 lore quest, and sometimes that you had an opportunity to get that this point in the game right now, and you just didn't find it. So anyway, questing early just to gain some lores at 2. You can see Fungus did find his Cinderella there, which is going to allow him to ramp up a bit faster and get on top of Sky on the ink race. No big targets come out yet. So Sky has the opportunity here to shift his Clarabelle if he would like. Obviously, if he has his as well. Kind of wish we had a hand camera. Which would be cool. Okay. Sky was going to ink his sail, but then decided, hey, let's take that back because we can do that at tournaments, right? So he was going to ink sail, decides not to, which makes me think he might not have the Clarabelle in his hands. Because at this point you have to be worried about Fungus next turn inking and then playing the 1-cost Clarabelle and shifting and going down to 2 cards. So all that to say, he does have it, and he does have the You're Welcome. So all that to say, that's still the play he made, which is the right play here. Shifted in the Clarabelle, singing You're Welcome. Assuming he didn't have either one of those pieces, he might have wanted to sell down. But the Clarabelle is going to, the Clarabelle with the Sing You're Welcome is going to make Fungus go up to 6 cards, Gaz at 1. So he's going to be able to draw 5 here, which is just great value generated from the Clarabelle early on in the game, which is just that is just what this green blue deck does when it is hitting everything it wants to hit early game, right? This on the play combo of shifting Clarabelle into You're Welcome is a play that most decks can't recover from, and obviously green blue, the mirror, you can recover from it, but it's gonna be tough. And which this is the play that Fungus has to make here now is playing the Clarabelle and shifting into it. Which taking out that Cinderella was so important because he was gonna be able to make that play, Clarabelle shift, and then sing your welcome with onto Sky's Clarabelle, which would have been a big swing back in the other favor. Which is where sometimes going second, if you find that Cinderella into the Clarabelle shift combo, going second doesn't feel that bad because then you get to draw all those cards that your opponent drew last turn. And so now let's see what Sky does here to, generate more value with this Clarabelle. Obviously, if he had another You're Welcome, that would be great for him to play. And we can see, I think he has the Prince Philip with Militia. I think he has the full combo in his hand, but obviously not enough ink to play that yet. So he's definitely not going to want that Clarabelle on Fungus's side to stay. Just based on the play pattern that Fungus had, I would guess that there's probably a You're Welcome in his hands. And due to that, if that's, which we just saw his hand, but I didn't get a good look at it. But if he does have that You're Welcome next turn, he's going to get to draw a lot of cards with that Clarabelle play. So we do see that Sky does have some filtering. He does have some search cards in his hand. He has Develop and he has Vision. I think he has both. So he could go and think, he could go and search for You're Welcome or Mother's Knows Best or something like that to get Fungus's Clarabelle off the board, to make him spend another 6 to play it and then not have a singer for You're Welcome. But yeah, a lot of options here. And that's obviously semi-risky play, right? I mean, obviously he can ink up to 7, so if he has another Basil in his hands, could bounce it back. So he has a Clarabelle and a little Clarabelle, Sail. So yeah, he could sail at the beginning here and just start drawing cards and going down. Inks is John Silver, going to play his little Clarabelle. Going to shift another Clarabelle, which is going to let him dump some more cards in his hand there. So he dumps 3 cards out of his hand. So it's going to guarantee him to draw at least 3 cards here off of what he had. Going to quest with Tipo again to go to 4. Yeah, I was gonna say unless he has the You're Welcome and Mother's Knows Best, it's gonna be it for his turn, and it is. So he is gonna get to draw some cards here to catch up with the Clarabelle, and so now it's on Fungus. So now he has to deal with 2 Clarabelles for Sky across on the other side. So he can't just get rid of one of them; has to get rid of both. Obviously, now with both players at 7 ink, the risk of bend to your will is always sitting there. And you can see he has the Basil, and he also has he has a Mother's Knows Best as well, and a You're Welcome. Wow. So, he made him bounce because, shifting the Clarabelle is another 2 cards. So, he made him bounce those 2 cards back to his hands. And You're Welcome is going to have 4 more, total 4 more cards in his hands. So, Fungus is going to get to draw a lot of cards here. And Sky's board is down to just a Tipo, which obviously is not what you're looking for here on this point of the game. At this point, he can't really threaten. He can't threaten combo because he doesn't have a singer for Malicious Mean and Scary. So yeah, definitely in a rough spot. It's a good turn back from Fungus there to get that Basil into a You're Welcome. Obviously, that's exactly what he needed to get back into this game. So now let's see what Scott can do to kind of turn this back into his favor. See, he has a lot of cards. I mean, there's a lot of answers in there. He has a You're Welcome and a Clarabelle, but unfortunately, since he doesn't have a singer, he can't play that Clarabelle, or he can't play the You're Welcome with the Clarabelle. If he does, that would be a big swing back into his favor. He can reduce his hand size a lot if he wants to here, with the Sail and ink down to get ready to try to get to a Prince John or a Prince Philip, combo going into the next turn. But it'd be interesting to see where he goes here. He has answers for days. He could get that the 3 cost Prince Philip down to get ready to make the play be cheaper next turn to make it only be worth 6 ink to play the full combo, which obviously he does have and can play with. So let's see where he decides to go. Because obviously, like I mentioned before, Fungus has seen a good bit of his deck at this point. He's seen, probably, a third of his deck at this point. So there's a decent chance that he has that bend to his will in his hands. Assuming he's playing it, right? It's possible that he's not playing it. Obviously, Sky would know that. So obviously, yeah, he's going to go on the dump his hand route. So he's double sailed here So now he's going to be able to ink 3 cards, and that's going to get him up to 9 ink. Yeah, and now he's got to decide, what he wants to ink, what he wants to keep in his hands, like what he wants to kind of do next turn, assuming Fungus doesn't have the bin to his will. Yeah, and it's in these mirror matches. I mean, if you've played Green Blue or watched the Green Blue mirror before, like, the good thing about this finals is that it is untimed. And because it's untimed, that means that these players have a lot of time to think about these decisions that are obviously really tough decisions. Like, these are all these decisions you got to think about. Like, hey, what's the other player going to do next turn? What could he do to me next turn? And all these decisions are obviously really tough to think about and really tough to plan for. So he goes Cinderella into a Clarabelle. So he inked 3 times, 1 for the turn and 2 sails. Plays a Cinderella, so he's gonna get to ink 4 times this turn, which is gonna get him up to, I think he had 6 at the beginning of the turn, so he's gonna be at 10 at the end of this turn, which is really close to that really key value of 12 ink for a green blue player. That 12 ink allows you to play Malicious, Mean, and Scary and Prince Philip at the same time on the same turn without needing a singer at all, without needing the 3-cost Prince Philip to shift. Like, you don't need anything. You can just play the full combo, which obviously is the most powerful thing you can do, and it's just a big swing. No matter because no matter what the other player has on the board, you can swing it back in your favor with that one combo. So he's deciding what to ink with that Cinderella, what to filter out here to draw another card, and then once we get back to Fungus's turn, I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of what he does. Obviously, if he has a bins, like that bin is really, really good here because there's nothing on Scott's side of the board that that he can generate, that he can generate more draw from. I did see another You're Welcome in his hand. I don't think that's going to come down this turn, but we do know from looking at these 2 players' deck lists that neither of them are running Under the Sea, which is a tech decision that they decided going into this tournament that Under the Sea was only going to allow them. Oh, Queston took it back. Under the Sea is only going to allow them to like have a better percentage in the dogs, and they didn't feel like it gave them much value into other decks, which is why you see Improvise. Being played by Fungus, which was a tech card that they chose to include in both players' list, which helps them into Blurple and it helps them into Purple Steel. So if you're a green blue player and that's your local meta is just a lot of Purple Steel and Blurple, like that Improvise is a great tech card because it allows you to target an Iago, a Royal Guard, a Giant Cobra, and just take them out, and you draw a card, right? So it's for 1 cost, you draw a card, so you're kind of replacing the Improvise with another card, and you get to just take out one of their illusion characters, which is a big swing. Happened earlier in the tournaments where DKP's Iago comes down on 4 and just gets improvised out of the game. And if you ever played Blurple, you know that is just one of those big swings that really, really hurts. Wow. And I say all that as I'm talking. He hits him with a Mother's Knows Best and bounce that Cinderella back to his hand, then hits him with a Bins. So now Sky is down to no cards in his hands. He does have a lot of ink, but nothing to do with it, right? And that's where this matchup, that's where this mirror can be so toxic that Bender, like that, just being able to just dump everything back to the other player's hands and then just bend to his will. Is really, really hard to recover from unless you're able to top deck a Clarabelle, right? At this point, Sky is like, how can I find a Clarabelle? The good thing about him ramping is that if he draws into a Vision, if he draws into a Develop Your Brain, he's going to have the ink to play those cards and still play the Clarabelle on the same turn. So he's going to be able to just continue to fish as much as he can to find that Clarabelle if he can find those search cards. So Sky's it makes his decisions a lot easier every turn, right? Because he only has 1 card to play with every turn, but yeah, and you can see what Fungus is doing here is he's going wide at this point because he knows Sky's not going to have MMS and Prince Philip. He also has his Basil on his side of the board, Fungus does, which is going to make sure that Sky can't hold one piece of the combo and wait for the other piece. So like if Sky draws a Malicious Meaning Scary here, he's just gonna have to cast it because he can't wait until next turn. Okay, he found Improvise. He's gonna give that onto the Basil. That's gonna hit for 6. Nothing to swing into, but it does let him draw a card. Draws into a Donald Duck. So Donald Duck is a great card after you get bent. Like if you have been to your will, if the other player's plays been to your will, that Donald Duck is going to allow him to like refill his hand, right? Because he gets to draw 2 at the beginning of his turn. So I would imagine if Fungus has a way to put that Donald back to his hand or something like that, that Donald's not going to stay on the board. Because that's just a way for Sky to continue to fish through his deck to find that Clarabelle to get back into this game. Or it allows him to draw 2 cards and potentially draw into Malicious Meaning Scary and Prince Philip on the same turn, which was impossible before that Donald came onto the board. So Fungus quested with the John Silver, gave the Basil Reckless so he can't quest to make him discard a card. So let's see what he does here. Yeah, so like I said, he's going to take the Mother's Knows Best and bounce Donald Duck back to Sky's hands. And, of course, he has that Basil sitting there. So he bounces it back to his hands, makes him discard it. Yeah, this is where playing against Green Blue can be a not fun experience, right? Because there's not much this guy can really do at this point. Fungus puts down another Clarabelle, and then he can just start going. He can just start questing now at this point. And I think the Basil has Reckless, so now it's going to have to swing into something, whether it's the Tipo, Clarabelle, John Silver, something like that. He does find the vision. That's really big. See a Donald. See 2 Donalds. See a Benz. Oof. Benz is not going to be too good at this point in the game. Did he find another search card? I didn't see the first card. Okay. The first card was another search card. I think it was either Vision or Develop. So he's going to be able to continue searching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it was the Develop. So he will have enough ink to play it. He draws into a small Prince Philip and the Prince or the John Silver, it looks like. Neither option is... Yeah, he's just going to scoop. I don't blame him. Yeah, if he found the Clarabelle there, like he could maybe try, start to come back, draw into a combo, and like reset the game a little bit. But Fungus was, he was going to threaten 8 or 9 lore next turn, which would get him up to, I think he was at 6 or 7, get him up to like 14, 15, and it's just not enough time, right? So that ends game 1. Fungus takes it. We'll jump into game 2 here. And I'll see you when game 2 starts back. We'll let both players shuffle up and mulligan, and we'll be back in game 2. All right, so both players have mulligans, redrawn, everything there. And I went ahead and turned the speed up to 1.25. Feel free to toss it in the comments if it's too fast or hurts the viewing experience. But I do think in this mirror, it's going to help us get through these games a bit quicker. That I'm not going to say anything about the games being too long or something like that, but definitely will lower the finals of this to hopefully less than 2 hours. And this is a grindy mirror matchup, so no problem with both players taking their decisions. Obviously, a lot on the line here. So, anyways, if you find this a bit disorienting, too quick, please let me know. But I think it's going to be good for what we have going on. So, anyways, both players ink turn 1, don't play anything. We can see Sky. He did play Develop on his first hand on turn 1, which I don't know if he had to search for ramp or not, but you can see he definitely did. And he has 2 T-Pos in his hand. So definitely didn't search for ramp. I think he has double T-Po and 2 Cinderellas as well. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I would imagine. Ooh, okay. I think he has double Cinderella and Bend in his hand. So there's a ton of uninkables. So I think one of these Cinderellas will probably have to go here. But yeah, I think we might see Sky ramp very quickly here and just bend Fungus before he can even get Clarabelle down. I think is what we might see from him. But yeah, anyway, so he does ink with Tipo as expected. Wow, you can see Fungus's hand is very similar to Sky's. Playing basically the same deck, so it's not super surprising, but he has 3 Cinderellas in his hands. But he does have his big Clarabelle. So yeah, I would expect Fungus to get rid of one of his Cinderellas here as well, which is tough. Obviously, that's one of the better cards in this deck and in this matchup is that you're able to ink and draw a card. So you're able to filter out for what you want. Okay. So Sky draws into a Sail. which looks like he's going to ink, and then probably Cinderella time here if I had to guess. No, it's Donald Duck time. Yeah, okay. So I think that makes a lot of sense for Scott's game plan if he's thinking he's going to play Bends onto Fungus on 7 ink. Because now at this point he's developed Donald Duck with 4 ink. Next turn he can play Cinderella on 5, which would then ramp him up to 7 for the following turn, so he could hit him with Bend right afterwards. I think that might be the play that he's going for. Fungus does go into a Cinderella here. It also allows Scott potentially to draw into like a You're Welcome or something like that to be able to like, if he plays if he gets to Clairball first, be able to bounce or You're Welcome that Clairball back to his hands and get rid of it. But anyways, that's what could be happening here. Of course, and I could be wrong, and that might not be a Bend in Scott's hands. I could just be crazy. It's all these things are possibilities. We do see Mother's Knows Best, see a Cinderella as well, improvise. So let's see what he goes with. I would assume we see a Cinderella this turn. Fungus's hand marker is also pretty cool. The Mickey hands, super cool in his end. But all right, let's see. He's gonna ink his Malicious Minion Scary. We're gonna see the Cinderella go down. We're gonna see the little Clairball go down as well. And then of course we'll see a Cinderella trigger. I would assume here as well. And so yeah, he's done a good job of dumping his hand down. I think he's got 2 or 3 cards in his hand. So like if he's deciding to quest with T-Bow or not. If Fungus gets down the Shift Clairball, he's not really going to get any value out of it unless he plays You're Welcome as well. So unless Fungus has all the tools he needs to get value out of the Clairball, he's not going to get value off of this first turn, which obviously would be great for Sky. So yeah, he's still deciding. He does decide to quest with the T-Bow. And then deciding, yeah, okay, here you go. So he is going to trigger the Cinderella, inks the Cinderella, draws for that, and then passes back over to Fungus. So yeah, Fungus we know has 7 cost. He has the Clairball in his hand. But I think he has. I think I just saw You're Welcome as well. So I think he has both currently. Okay, so he's gonna go second Cinderella here into a little Clairball. So he did have the Clairball and the Shift here. He could have played on this turn, but decided to go against it, which I think is a good. Listen. Both these players are better green blue players than I am. I didn't make day 2 of the DLC, unfortunately. But I'm assuming he makes that decision because he's not going to get any value out of that Clairball, and it's just a target for Sky to hit with, or You're Welcome or something like that. So it passes back over to Sky after that, after the opportunity to double ramp with the Cinderellas, and Sky gets a double draw with the Donald Duck. And now this turn gets interesting. This is where a Under the Sea would be really cool, but both players know they're not running it, which is why Fungus can make that play there. He knows he can't get punished by Donald and Cinderella singing Under the Sea here. So he's able to kind of go wide with these characters and not have to worry about Sky hitting him back with it. So let's see what Scott decides to do. He's got 4 cards in his hands. One of them I think is, I was going to say improvise, but I thought it started with an I, but it's definitely 3 words, so it's not improvise. Because yeah, he knows from the other side of the board that Fungus obviously it has a ton of ink now, right? Like has it, because he's able to double ink with the Cinderella. Okay, so he is gonna sing You're Welcome onto his own T-Bow here, which tells his opponent, hey, I don't have the cow, right? I don't have the Clairball Shift because if I did, it would be coming down. So Sky is going fishing here, right? So if he can land that Clairball Shift, I think he has. Well, no, that was the You're Welcome he just played. But he can still shift it, and he's still going to get some value out of it here. Get to draw at least 2 cards, which is good value. So okay, here's his 2 pulls from You're Welcome on the Tipo. And of course, Tipo, did its job. It got the quest. It got the quest 3 times. All right, so we get to play Vision. So yeah, he is really going fishing here for that Clarabelle. I think he found it. Which is another tell. Like, there's a lot of talk in the community about physical tells you can get from your opponent as they're playing. And I think as like a green-blue player or like just a blue player in general, like if you play Visions and like you grab a card very, very quickly, I think it telegraphs to your opponent like, hey, I got exactly what I wanted, right? So I think it's worth not pulling a card quickly. Obviously, in a match like this in the finals, like I think it's fine to pull that card quickly. But if you're like a set championships or something like that, like let the opponent think you don't have it, right? Like why not? Like let them think you don't have it, because if they think that, that it's gonna change the way they play most likely, right? Or maybe I'm just a mean player. I don't know. One of these things is true, but okay. So he has Mother's Knows Best. He's gonna sing that onto, probably the Clarabelle. Even though Fungus has all the ink in the world to play what he wants. So he passes it back over to him. He does get to get some value out of the Clarabelle, and back over the Fungus. He's going to ink that little Clarabelle that just bounced back into his hands. Play a little Clarabelle. Shift his Clarabelle. And if he has a You're Welcome, we're about to see it. He does have it. It's gonna bounce or get rid of that Clarabelle for Sky, which, in this green blue mirror, like if it's very similar to like playing the red blue mirror or like blue steel mirror back in the day, that if you let a Hiram stay on the board for like multiple turns, most likely that player's gonna win, right? Like if a Hiram gets to like quest once or twice and draw 4 to 6 cards, like you're probably losing that game. It's the same thing for Clarabelle, right? Like if Clarabelle's able to stay on the board for an extended period of time, then you're probably not gonna win. So yeah, so Sky, this is looking very similar to last game so far, where Sky's board is just like slowly getting obliterated by Fungus. The Your Welcomes are hitting right when they need to hit, and Sky or Fungus's board is just getting really, really wide. Like we're almost gonna have to go like a wide angle lens to be able to see all of his board. And Sky's just sitting with a Cinderella. But he's got 4, 5, 6. He's got 7 inks. Like he can't even threaten the combo here. Fungus is sitting with 9 cards in his hand, I think. So like a lot of answers over there. Like threatening Bend to His Will again next turn, which would be a complete carbon copy of game 1. Yeah, so there's a lot of things for Sky to worry about here. He does have a lot of cards in his hand that he can dump out like he did last game. I just hope hope Fungus doesn't have the bend in his hands, and hopefully and he'll be able to, next turn get the combo out, right? Like he's 1 turn away from being able to hit it, which obviously Fungus knows as well. So he's gonna try for the sale, draw a card. Obviously he's gonna let him double ink to like dump his hand here a little bit because Fungus is still sitting with that Clarabelle on the board as well. So he's trying to make sure that he does not give him any extra value. He does have a Tipo in his hand as well, so he could like double ink into a Tipo. To just like really reduce that hand size. He's got 2 little Clarabelles that are decent ink targets here. So we'll see what he decides to do. He does have the 3 cost Prince Philip as well that he could play down to lower the cost of that combo going into turn 2 to make it so he has enough. He'll definitely have enough ink no matter what. So yeah, there goes inking one of the Clarabelles. Yeah, and he has a Vision as well that he could play. Yeah, like I said, he's got a lot of cards, but a lot of options. Okay, the little Prince Philip does come down. I like that a lot because it threatens Fungus, right? Because Fungus has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, Fungus has 8 ink as well. Yikes. So Fungus could ink next turn and play the combo, which would, I think would probably be a GG for Sky. I'm not sure if there's going to be a coming back from that because he's pretty far away from 12, which, of course, he can double ink here. Like, he could ink one more time and play a Tipo here, which would put him at a good amount of... He's already played the Tipo, excuse me. So he can ink one more time here for that sale, which would put him at 2, 5, 8, 9, 10 ink. So there's that. Going to play the little Clarabelle to just dump his hand out a little bit more. Now at this point, he probably just passes. He could take out a Tipo with Cinderella. I don't think that's worth it. These games aren't generally decided by the Cinderellas and Tipos questing. Not to say that they're never decided by that, but yeah, okay. Tipo is going to get taken out by the Cinderella there. Takes 1 damage, and he's going to pass it over to him. All right, so a lot of options here for Fungus's turn here, right? Like, he has to know that the Prince Philip shift combo is something that Sky's threatening, right? Like, obviously he can't see Sky's hand. If he does, then this game wouldn't be very fun. But anyways, I was going to say, he has to worry about the Prince Philip combo being hit. So if he has it, that's a good option for him. He does have it, does play it, clears Sky's board out. Sky is now sitting at, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he is still one ink off from being able to, like, play the full combo here. So Fungus is going to be able to, Quest is he's at 5 lore now. Next turn he can get up to 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 lore. So he's going to be, closer to winning again. And, so Sky starts off with a vision of the future. He's trying to, I think he has the Prince Philip, but I do not think he has Malicious Mean and Scary. Yeah, and he did not draw it with that vision either. So I think he's going to take the vision from the vision to just continue to be able to, like, look through his deck to find that Malicious Mean and Scary. So I think that's what we're going to see happen again here, I think, is another vision to go try to find it. There's another Prince Philip. There is a Clarabelle, and there's a Donald Duck. So doesn't find it again, but I think there is another vision or develop your brain there that he could go and play again and just continue to search, which doesn't feel great, but sometimes you got to go find them, right? Like, sometimes you got to go find them, and that could have been the card that he inked with. Could have been a card that he inked with. With the Tipo earlier, or just a regular ink. I think he might have inked one of them. But yeah, it's tough because we can't see their full hand. Like, he could have, like, that card, Malicious Mean and Scary could have been hidden under there. He might actually have it, and I might have just missed it. You can see he inks a Basil, plays the Clarabelle, which is going to let him draw, I think 4 cards. 2, 3, 4. So basically, yeah, he basically just played on the vision with that Clarabelle, right? And I think that's sometimes what's hard to decide in these games is it worth taking the Clarabelle or not, or, like, getting another vision. And here, that's a great call because the Clarabelle, first off, defends him from getting bent, right? Like, if a bin gets played, he at least will get to refill his hand again, right? Obviously, if he gets your welcome into a bin, like, what are you going to do? That's just tough. But protects him from the bins if your welcome or Mother's My Best isn't in Fungus's hands. But also, like, it basically just gave him the vision effect, except he didn't have to pick one of the cards. He just gets to have all 5 of them, right? Because he gets to draw 4 and his draw for turn next turn. And it establishes a singer for Malicious Mean and Scary, so that he can actually save 3 ink to play another vision or whatever he wants to play next turn, right? So, like, great play there from Sky. Great decision out of that vision to take a Clarabelle. I think it would be easier for less skilled players in the green blue deck to just take another vision and just continue to search through your deck, right? Like, just continue to search. But Sky is obviously Sky is a really great pilot of this deck, so knows exactly what his outs are here from a situation like this. And Declare Bow is a great play. So saying all that, while Fungus is playing his turn, played Vision, went and searched for some cards. Obviously, he's probably trying to look for the bins. He's trying to look for a way to get rid of that Clarabelle. You know, a lot of options here. Which Fungus being the player that has the board control and has the tempo control here in this matchup currently, he kind of gets to dictate how this game gets to go right at this point. So we'll see what he ends up doing here. A lot of cards in his hands, but it looks like a lot of like one cost Clarabelles too, though. He's got a sail in there, so he can ink up and ends up playing the sail. Once the Clarabelle comes down, you got to start inking. And again, like I mentioned earlier, like getting the 12 ink is like the really big pivot point in this matchup specifically. Getting the 12 so that you can hard cast that full combo is so important because once you get kind of late game here, assuming neither player can like swing it with a big bend or something like that early on, it allows that game to swing back and forth, which both players would want to do in an in-game situation like that. So so Fungus is kind of doing what Sky did last turn, played double vision to search to his deck to find all the answers that he wants to find here. And then Sky is really going to be able to swing the game back in his favor, which Fungus knows, right? Fungus knows that next turn, this situation is going to change quite drastically. He did find a Mother's Knows. He does have a Mother's Knows Best. Sky's looking through the deck now to see what he's got. What Fungus has already used. Does ink a Clarabelle, inks 2 Clarabelles, one for the sale. Another one for sale. So inks gets rid of 2 Clarabelles and a Basil. Plays down Donald Duck to dump his hand down the 4, which is going to allow him to draw a lot of cards. He's going to bounce that Mother's Knows Best, he's going to use Mother's Knows Best to bounce that Clarabelle back to Sky's hand. So Sky is going to be at a lot of cards, which means Fungus is going to be able to draw a ton of cards here on his turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 8. I think he's going to have to draw 5 here. Fungus is so getting great value out of that Clarabelle, and just and getting to ink a ton too, right? Like this is how this green blue deck wants to operate. Just ink a ton, and just be able to continue to generate value off of your Clarabelle. So, all that being said, this board's super wide for Fungus. Sky has the 12 ink that he needs to play the combo. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he does. Yeah. So, I mean, there's really only one answer for him here, and it's to play that combo. And so that the game, swings back over into Sky's favor here, at least board control wise. Fungus has a lot of cards from that last dump into the Clarabelle there. It's like he has a lot of cards in his hand, a lot of options to swing this game back into his favor. The bright side for Fungus is that he's already at 12 lore, Sky's at 3, right? So that was a big swing tempo wise on the board because of that big combo and how wide Fungus went. However, he got to 12 lores. Like he got value off of the wideness of that board. So can't be upset about that. So now it starts off with a vision. I think he's played 3 visions in the last turn. So, has seen a lot of his cards. He does have bend in his hands. He was definitely looking for, let's see. Looking for a way to bounce that Prince Philip back to Sky's hands to bend it. But he's just going to have to play the bends. And he does. So Sky is going to keep board control, at least for this turn. Fungus is going to play some T-pos and whatnot here. But Sky's going to keep the board control with that Prince Philip on the board. But he's going to have to do it without any cards in his hand, which is tough. Yeah, he's done a lot of searching. I think that's improvised, and you're welcome there. But yeah, he's done a lot of searching on his side with all those search cards. He's got everything he'd ever want in his hands. And Sky top decks into a Donald, which is one of the better top decks after you get bent, because it's going to allow you to start refilling your hands on your turn. However, like I mentioned last game, I can't imagine Fungus is going to allow that Donald Duck to stay on the board. He definitely has some pieces to take that, to bounce that back to Sky's hands. Oh, well, he's got the combo. So the combo is just going to get played here. So Fungus is just going to take board control back and quest for that T-bow to go to 13. So now he's threatening 17 next turn, so Sky's on a 2-turn timer, and he's actually on a no-turn timer because he concedes game 2. Fungus takes game 2. Great play from him. And we're going to go into game 3. So we'll let both players kind of reset here, reshuffle their decks, mulligan it up, and we will be back for game 3. All right, so jumping back into game 3 here. Sky's on the play again, starting off just like he did last game, inking a John Silver, playing a Develop Your Brain. Gets to search for some cards, and we'll pass it back over. Fungus is like, I like that play. I'll play Develop Your Brain as well. Does that on turn 1. Just a great way to start your game. You can search for a card that you want, and just really start building out that game plan that you want early game here. So Sky, we can see he does have the Tipo and he does have the Cinderella in his hand. So he does have both of those ramp pieces that he'd want. So Tipo comes down. He does have Big Clarabelle as well, and the Clarabelle Shift, and a You're Welcome. So he has all the pieces he'd ever want. And see what he decides to put down for the Tipo. Most likely it's going to be that Donald Duck. Unfortunately, this is where I think this is where a lot of people think green blue is so easy. It's like you shift your Clarabelle, you play your You're Welcome. It's easy. And it's like, yeah, it's great whenever it works out that way. However, decisions like this are really, really tough, right? Because he has every card in his hand right now are good cards. And I think he decided to ink the little Clarabelle. I believe that's the decision that he made. So I think we're going to see a line here again with going Donald Duck into the Cinderella into the Clarabelle. Whereas, me in that situation, I'm probably getting rid of the Donald Duck, which is, at least based on these great players that we're watching here, is not the optimal decision. So anyway, so Sky now is going to get rid of that. He just drew into a second Clarabelle, so I think we're going to see him ink that. No, maybe. No, just kidding. Well, Fungus knows he's got one Clarabelle. Okay, he does ink it. Does go in the Donald Duck here. Quest with Tipo. Listen, if Lorcana was won by who quest in each game first, Sky would be 3-0, and the finals would be over. So Fungus going second here. I think that having that one extra card in your hand makes this decision a lot easier. He's going to ink the Donald Duck and go into Cinderella. And then he will activate Cinderella at the end of his turn here and ink a card, draw another one. And we'll be off to the races here. Donald Duck trigger. Both players will allow them to draw an extra card. And we're off here, right? So, if Sky kind of goes through that pattern he had to be at the beginning of the game, which would be playing Cinderella here and getting ready for Clarabelle, would mean he'd have to ink the Prince Philip. Let's see if that's what he decides to do. So yeah, he did ink Develop Your Brain, play Cinderella, ink the Prince Philip with the Cinderella. So at least he's hiding the fact that he's inking a Prince Philip, which I think is, generally the better play. You don't want your opponent to know how many you have. Interesting. So he went ahead and played Develop Your Brain. So I think he's looking for maybe a different card to ink. So yeah, he's going to ink Prince Philip. Put down the Cinderella. And then now he's sitting with 2 Clarabelles in his hands and a You're Welcome. So he is going to quest with the Tipo, activate Cinderella while inking the Clarabelle, pass it over. So that's the second Clarabelle that Sky has inked this game. So now he obviously has one in his hands, but he's down to 2 Clarabelles total, which is definitely not where you want to be in this matchup. Or almost any matchup as green blue, other than maybe purple steel. You're okay getting rid of your Clarabelles, or any aggro matchup in general. But sometimes you got to ink what you got to ink, right? Judge was like, hey, Cinderella's ink comes in ready, because you can use it sometimes. But anyways, Fungus is going to ink that Improvise for turn here. Obviously not a great card for this specific matchup. Does allow you to filter if you need to. You can ink a You're Welcome as well. Going to play out a Prince Philip. Oof. So every time a Prince Philip gets played out like that, you're like, man, next turn my board might die. Might all get banished, and that would feel awful. So and he's got what 4-7 ink, so he's definitely threatening the combo coming down next turn if Fungus has the pieces in his hand, which makes Sky's turn definitely more interesting, right? Because before that there was no way that the combo was coming down next turn. Now it's definitely a possibility. But Fungus is holding his hand in a way that we can't see his cards, which is keeping things a bit more unknown, a bit more exciting, I guess, right? As a viewer, like we don't know. Okay, wow, he goes and inks a Clairbow as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now he's at 8 ink. So let's see what Sky can do about this. So Sky, sitting at 3, 4, 5, 6 ink. So he definitely can't. He definitely cannot do anything that Prince Philip. However, he could play Clarabelle, ink a card, play Clarabelle, and then you're welcome Cinderella and bounce Tipo back if he wanted to, and like get a lot of card draw here potentially. Is an option for him, but then if Fungus doesn't have both pieces that he needs for the combo, and he does that, like he's gonna have the pieces at that point, right? So, statistically at least, he could still break, but most likely he's gonna find the pieces at that point. So, risky play for Sky to do that. Let's see what he decides to do here. Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough because it's like the other player is just like and this is a great like green blue strategy. If you're a green blue player watching, like this is a great green blue strategy, and you're playing as purple steel or an aggro deck, and especially if you're playing against a player that's not as skilled. Like you put down your Prince Philip, especially if you're going to go into 6 ink next turn, and the other player is going to have to make a decision about whether they go wide because they're going to think you have the combo or not, right? And it becomes a scary situation. So Sky decides to ink his You're Welcome, and then play Mother's Knows Best on the Cinderella to bounce that card back to Fungus's hands, and he's going to get to generate 2 draw off of that. So decides to not go with the You're Welcome Mother's Knows Best track, which I think the reason why is because he was holding Prince Philip and Malicious Mean and Scary in his hands. He would have to ink one of those pieces to do that play, which, is always a scary piece to get rid of another piece of your combo. Fungus does have the combo and is able to just sing it with Prince Philip and then play the larger shift Prince Philip, which, just allows him to generate, just have 5 quests on the board now instead of just a 3. And Prince Philip, the ward character, is like a very hard character to deal with as as a green blue player. Anything with ward is something that the deck really struggles with because you can't target it with You're Welcome or Mother's Knows Best or something like that, right? So like that card will just sit there until it's challenged. So great character just to like keep there and not shift on top of for that situation specifically. Does play down the Donald Duck to just generate more card draw here. He's gonna have to he inks something here, and more importantly than that Donald Duck, he's gonna be able to sing Malicious Mean and Scary next turn, assuming he has a combo, which I think he does. Inks a little Clarabelle and passes back over to Fungus. So Fungus, he did do that was a great board wipe there with the Prince Philip combo, but he is sitting only at 3 cards on his hand at the beginning of this turn, as we see. So not a lot of options to do things here, and we knew one of them was a Cinderella, right? So he's going to quest with the Prince Philip, gain 3, quest with the Tipo to go to 4, or go to 5 at least. He had one before, but decides to. Okay, I was going to say, literally was about to say decides not to quest with the Prince Philip, but decides to now, because Sky can play the combo this turn if he has it. So we Donald Duck trigger, drew another card, draws into a sail. Yeah, so if he has the combo, I would imagine it's going to come down here, and this would be a nice swing back for Sky. And something that's quite different from this swing from like earlier games is that Fungus doesn't have a lot of cards in his hands to kind of go wide here afterwards, right? So he's sitting on 3 cards. Sky has the board advantage now and has the same amount of cards in his hands. So like that, it's a big difference between what happened last game and what's happening now in game 3. Much more advantageous position for Sky here in this game. Was able to keep Fungus's hand low, even though he had early board control, and just kind of he's really able to like right the ship here in this game and get this back to even playing field here for him, and I'd say even an advantageous playing field here. So Fungus starts off his turn with a Vision of the Future. Has double You're Welcome, Prince or Donald, and You're Welcome. Let's see, double You're Welcome. Maybe Cinderella was the other card. Excuse me. John Silver and Donald Duck, I think. So I think he took a Donald Duck. Maybe I think. It's tough to see. Tough to see with the angle that we're looking at with the camera, but I think that is right. Play 6. He took the John Silver. Excuse me. So took the John Silver to stop Prince Philip from questing for 3 every turn, which always is a good value, and he can make Prince Philip quest or challenge into the John Silver next turn, which would allow him to play Malicious Mean Scary and take it out, or just play his own Prince Philip and get rid of it as well. So let's see what Sky is going to do on his turn here. The good thing is, you can tell both of these players, Fungus and Sky, definitely know each other. Definitely have a good relationship. So, even though this is a very stressful game, the mirror match is always stressful. It can be a bit toxic from time to time. Both players are smiling and like laughing and like having a conversation as well, which you love to see. So Sky starts off with a sail. Gonna let him draw a card and double ink here if he wants to. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Obviously, a bend would be really big here, which that's what he has. He's going to bend him, and he has Cinderella. Oh my gosh! Wow. So Fungus had a combo. He had it and was going to be able to sing with John Silver and play the Prince Philip down and really swing this game back into his favor. But I think that is a play from Sky that, obviously these games, the good thing about Green Blue is you can always get back into a game because if he top decks a Clarabelle, he's able to draw some more cards, and like stay in it. But that is a really big swing back into Fungus's or back in the Sky's favor there with that combo, or with the Bend to Your Will to get rid of the combo for Fungus. So we'll see what Fungus decides to do here. He definitely, I would assume he doesn't want to take out Donald Duck for Sky because it's going to allow him to draw an extra card. So does draw into the small Prince Philip. He's going to quest and give Prince Philip give Prince Philip Reckless again. Excuse me. So that's going to make Prince Philip hit into the John Silver this turn unless he sings a song. So if Prince Philip sings You're Welcome on the John Silver and Fungus gets to draw 2 more cards, I'm not sure he's going to be really upset about that. So I would imagine the Prince Philip is going to have to bash into the John Silver, which we just see here, which, again, is going to stop it. That's 2 turns in a row that Fungus has been able to stop Prince Philip from questing. Wow. Okay. All right. So Basil comes down and bounces his own Prince Philip back, which, everything I was just saying about the fact that now a Prince Philip can come down and kill it, or Malicious Being Scary. Ooh, excuse me. Any of those options could come down and take it out. Now it can't because now it's back in his hands, and whenever he plays it again, it will be back to full health and not be threatened to be just taken out. So yeah, and another thing about that Basil is that in a game like this where Fungus is low on cards, that Donald Duck is generating him value, but now every turn if he draws to the Donald, Basil can just take that card out. All right, so Fungus has a Basil and a Donald, so that's he has exactly 11 ink. Is able to play a Basil and Donald Duck. So Basil's going to bounce the Basil of Sky back to his hands, which this is where this matchup can get really funny sometimes. Where like maybe you do like a little Basil pinball, little Basil ricochet, where like both players just keep playing Basils and keep bouncing each other's Basils back to each other's hands, which is really crazy. Okay, Sky's just gonna be like, hey, this game is we're gonna quit playing this little Basil bounce back and forth, and I'm just gonna like get ready to board. Yeah. And Fungus is like, hey man, you've played the combo a few times. How many times? Takes a look at his discard to see how many he's played or how many is in his discard. Obviously, got to quest with the T-Bow again. Ooh, excuse me. Quest the T-Bow again and get up to 8. And so Fungus is basically top decking here still. Does play the Basil down to bounce that Prince Philip back to Sky's hand. So he does know that the combo has an opportunity to come back out again one more time, but at this point in the game, like keeping the lore count low is what's really important here for him, and trying to find his own combo. All right, well, the Basil games are back. We really listen. This would be Basil should have been Ticker, right? And if Basil was bouncing bounce, it would just be like Ticker just bouncing back and forth, and like yes. What Ravensburger? Hit me up. I can be an associate game designer for dumb ideas just like that. So Sky went wide here, cleared the board with a combo, and then Basil this turn. So now he's he's at 13 lore. He's threatening 5, 6, 8 next turn. So he has lethal on the board. We got our Basil pinball going again. Gonna bounce the Basil back. So lethal can't be hit next turn. And, Fungus is going to pass it back to Sky. Fungus basically has one out here next turn, and it's to draw the combo and have it to be able to just swing this board back into his favor. That's about the only thing he can do. And he's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He had 12 ink, so like he could have swung it back, but Sky was able to shift the Prince Philip and just lock this game up. So he does take game 3, so he does battle back. So the series was going to go on to a game 4 here. Fungus is going to play for the first time, actually, which is crazy. So we'll jump back in whenever game 4 starts, whenever both players get the reset here and reshuffle their decks up. All right, we're back in. Fungus, you can see, inked a John Silver, played a Clarabelle. And we're back off to the races here, right? So this is the first time Fungus has got to go first here. So let's see how Sky plays now going second. And Fungus, as it plays going first. All right, so we see a develop gets inked. Is he going to match the Clarabelle with his own Clarabelle? He does. So we have a little cow farm going here. You see in Fungus's hand, he has double malicious meaning scary. I think he has a Prince Philip as well. Wow, he missed ramp. Oh man. Ugh. Feels really bad. Feels really bad in the mirror to miss ramp. I mean, listen, it always feels bad, but it feels bad in the mirror to miss ramp because assuming Sky has ramp. Wow. He doesn't have ramp either. Oh, yeah, he does. Okay, that's Sale. Oh, my goodness. I thought that was Vision. Whew. Shiny cards are hard to see on camera, okay? That's my excuse. Okay, he does have ramp. So now Fungus is going to be not only a turn behind from going second, but also like basically 2 turns behind now because he missed ramp. So yeah, he does. Interesting. So he decided. Okay, he was going to go with the Prince Philip development here. Wow. Was going to go with the Prince Philip development here. He did not have ramp in his hands, but decides to go with with a develop your brain and actually draws into a Sale. It's a little risky, which I guess not really risky because he could have, he still could have inked and played the Prince Philip. So I think that is the right play, but um, pretty lucky to draw into it. But sometimes sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So Sky does what you would expect him to do whenever he's ahead. When the other players miss ramp, he just continues to get ahead more. So plays the Cinderella to be able to ramp again. Now Fungus is going to develop that Prince Philip, which I think we saw that he had the combo in his hand here. So next turn, when he gets to 6 ink, he's going to be able to play the combo if Sky develops his Clarabelle shift here, which would be a nice swing in the Fungus's favor after missing ramp early on. So I'm interested to see what... This is always an interesting spot where it's like, yeah, you always just shift and get it out of your hand and just go for it. But like in a situation like this, do you do it whenever you know the other player might take you out with the Prince Philip shift? Or is Fungus bluffing and he doesn't have the Prince Philip shift? I don't know. And like it was him trying to play it on turn 3 versus looking for ramp. Was that a tell that he does have the combo? It's a lot of mind games in this matchup, that are kind of unintentional sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that either player is playing one way to mind game the other one or whatever, but definitely, there's a lot of mind games that can be played. So Sky decides to go ahead and develop that second Cinderella, which is going to allow him to just continue to ramp on top of Fungus here. Fungus did get to catch up with that sail. But now Sky is just going to, maybe, reach to the sky. Maybe no. Okay, sorry, it's not a good joke. But able to just continue to ramp up above Fungus here. I think he just drew into Bend to Your Will. I believe that's what he drew into, and he definitely wanted to activate the second turn around, but decided not to. And again, this is another tell when you're playing against a green-blue player. Is like, oh, you didn't use your Cinderella twice? That means the cards in your hand must be really good. So yeah, okay. And like a Benz, for example, you don't want to get rid of because you're probably only running one, right? So if you get rid of it, it's gone forever. And the other player, I mean, he's not going to know that if you didn't get with Cinderella, but that becomes something that the other player doesn't have to worry about. Doesn't have to play against. I think I saw double your welcomes. Yeah, I think it was double your welcomes in a Clarabelle, maybe in his hands. Could be crazy, but I think that's right. So yeah, he basils the Clarabelle back to Sky's hand, and this is where that early Prince Philip shifts can be really scary for the opposing player. Like now he's just quested up to 5. He's got 6 lore on the board here. I mean he's like threatening to win the game in 3 turns now, right? Like Sky's got to respect the board now versus in this matchup. Sometimes both players can just like ramp and just, kind of play around each other and not worry about it. But this becomes like a bigger deal because of the lore pressure that Fungus has developed on his side of the board. So let's see how Sky plays this. He is going to play the Clarabelle back down and just passes it back over to Fungus. So yeah, he's trying to get to a point where he can play those You're Welcomes with the Clarabelle, right? Like if he can You're Welcome, I think he has 2, unless he inked one of them. But I think he has 2, and if he could You're Welcome Prince Philip and Basil, that would be a really big swing. A lot of value that he would generate off his Clarabelle, and would just be able to continue to kind of stay ahead of Fungus in this game. But Fungus is, I think he developed into a vision into another develop. So he is searching his deck here. Definitely wants to find some way to stay ahead. Stay ahead in this. Yeah. Okay. So he's down to 1 card. So he's trying to make sure that Sky can't get value off of that Clarabelle. Gonna quest with Basil, so it's gonna make Sky get rid of a card randomly. Rolls a die. We can't see what happened, but the You're Welcome is gone, which has to make Fungus feel pretty good, right? Like he has to be like, oh man, like the Clarabelle's not gonna be getting value now because I only got 1 card in hand. And wow, now he has no cards in hand. He inks the John Silver. Gonna quest with the Clarabelle. He's gonna go up to 11. And so now Sky's got to do something with his board this turn. Things are getting scary. But if he has the bends, I mean, do you bend for 2 cards? I don't think so. If you had to, you're welcome into it bends. I mean, if you had a Mother's Best bend situation would be good, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think he's sitting at eight ink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's sitting at 8 ink. If he has combo, he could play it. I don't think he does. I know he has a little Prince Philip, but that's not very helpful for the combo right now at this point in the game. So yeah, a lot of decisions we made here. Because obviously play down, still play you're welcome, and draw a card, right? Like, okay, he's gonna go ahead and Vision of the Future. So yeah, I think I saw 9 calls Prince Philip in there. I think that's what he took. Could be wrong. We're kind of guessing here a little bit if we're being honest, but I think that's what he took. We see 1 year welcome. I think we see a Basil maybe. 2. Oh, he could Basil and you're welcome. That would be pretty good. Okay, Basil comes down. Now does he get? Cause if he Basil's Prince Philip, that's 2 cards into Fungus's hands, but obviously we'd be able to let him replay it. So yeah, he Basil's the Basil, and then you're welcome's the Prince Philip, which is gonna make Fungus have 3 cards in his hand. I think Sky's now sitting at 0 cards. So he's going to get 3 cards of value with the Clarabelle. So that would end up being a really, really great vision to get into that, get into the Basil, to be able to clear this board back for Fungus. Get the Lord pressure off the board, right? Because in this matchup you're always like, oh, can they do combo? Can they do this? Can they do that? But it's like also they could just quest and win, right? And that becomes tough as well. So anyway, so this guy generates value off the Clarabelle, which you always like to see. Passes it back over to Fungus. But Fungus now, I mean, obviously, since Sky got to generate some value, that means that he has cards in his hand as well. So he does use the Tipo to put some damage on the Clarabelle, and then just does the old-fashioned, I'm just going to use Prince Philip to clear 1 character that way. So good work there. Wow, he draws into a Mother's Best now. Listen, he could just hardcast Mother's Best on the Prince Philip, and he has a 1 in 3 chance of taking out Prince Philip with the Basil quest. So he could do a little bit of gambling. Not saying it's the right play, but it's a fun play. Let's see what he decides to do. Start off with a vision. Listen. I've heard from good players that if you're going to draw cards at some point in your turn, doing it at the beginning is pretty good. It's not a bad call. So, let's see. I knew he had a big Clarabelle in there, but I don't think he took it. So I'm not sure what card he took there. I'm sure we're about to find out, though. I don't think he has enough to play the combo right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think he has 7. He's got 7 in hand. He's gonna sing. Wow, he's gonna sing your welcome onto the Prince Philip. So maybe he did take the Clarabelle, and so now he's gonna get some value on the Clarabelle. Maybe Inks of John Silver. Yeah, okay, maybe that's what he took. Okay, so yeah, he's gonna generate some more value off the Clarabelle. Get to draw 3 more cards off of that, and dump that Prince Philip back into Fungus's deck. So Fungus draws up here. Saw Tipo, Donald Dunk. Let's see what he ends up doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think he's got 9 in the Inkwell. He's got a Basil. He's got some. Yeah, I was gonna say he's got Tipo and Sail. I'd imagine those cards will be out of his hand somehow this turn, and just gonna continue to get down. I think the only problem for him here is, I was gonna say he had that Basil. If he goes down in cards, the Basil is gonna threaten him inking a card that he wants to keep in his hands. So does ink down to 2 cards in his hands with getting rid of one of those Malicious Minion Scaries and the Tipo. And now we're back to Sky here with a lot of cards in his hands. with the Clarabelle still on the board and Fungus still sitting with a Basil staring at him. So he can't bounce that Basil back to his hands, but then that would allow Fungus to just play it again and bounce another card from Sky, which would just continue to prolong this game. And the longer this game is prolonged, like now Fungus is sitting at 8, 9, 10, 11. So like next turn, if the 2 cards in his hand is combo and he can ink the 3rd card that he draws, that would allow him to play the combo next turn if he wanted to, right? So the longer this game goes on, the more answers that Fungus will continue to be able to draw. So let's see how Sky goes about this. So he inks a John Silver, inks an Improvise. He's gonna develop the Basil, and we're back to the Basil bouncing. Still got a lot of ink to play with here, though. Well, less ink because he finally exerted the last 2. Okay, so he's still got 3 ink if he wants to play it. Plays the Prince Philip, Quest with Clarabelle up to 2, and so now we're gonna see Sky continue or start to come back in this lore battle, right? He's up to 2 now, but we're gonna see him just slowly start climbing the list here. All right, we see the Basil bounce again. We're probably gonna see the Mother's Knows Best. Maybe. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself here. He could Mother's Knows Best the Clarabelle back to his hand as well. Make him spends all the ink to play on both. He's only got 12 inks. Like if he did both, he wouldn't be able to play them both back down next turn, which it would help the tempo swing back. So yeah, he is going to play Mother's Knows Best on that Clarabelle. And so now we're just down to a Prince Philip versus a Basil here. And that Basil is, staring Sky down and can definitely, make him since he can't play both of those cards back, it would make him make a decision to like potentially lose one of them with a Basil quest. So I'm assuming Sky is going to continue this Basil bounce back and forth here and get that Basil back to Fungus's hands. However, I'm not sure what else he has. Like if he has Mother's Knows Best or You're Welcome, then that's obviously a call he can make. He could do a combo if he has that piece as well. And just like get rid of Basil with a combo, which like late game like this, whenever Fungus is like down to 2 cards, isn't the worst decision that's ever been made. So let's see what he decides to do. So inks a Basil, plays the Tipo, inks a card with Tipo, and he's going to play 7 for JK. Not going to play 7. Okay, plays the 7 for the Clarabelle. Because that's something you got to worry about in this game, too, is like one of those cards from Fungus could be Bins. And if that card is Bins, then this game kind of gets weird again, right? Where like both players are top decking almost. So keeping the Clarabelle down protects him from that. And then he does have the You're Welcome. So the You're Welcome is going to make Fungus get rid of that Basil, go up to 4 cards. Scott's going to be able to draw 3 more cards here to generate more value from that Clarabelle. And then we'll be able to start questing, continue to quest and just continue to catch up on the lore battle here. So Fungus is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So Scott is drawing him into more cards here, so he could find the combo. He can now ink into playing the combo and clear the board. He's like, Sky, cut my deck, bro. Sky cuts his deck, draws 2, and then we see a Prince Philip quest to go up to 4. And then Clarabelle trigger to go back up to 4 cards. And we're kind of back to where we were in the last turn, right? Except we know the Basil is not in Fungus's hand now. All right, so we got 4. So I think he has his own cow. Or, he drew into another. He drew into another Basil. Bounces that Clarabelle back to his hands. Plays into a Donald Duck. So yeah, like in situations like this where Fungus playing that Donald Duck and then bouncing that Basil back, like that's going to allow him to just continue to try to find answers, like try to find that combo with the Donald Duck, just continuing to be able to draw extra cards. I do see Malicious Mean and Scary in Scott's hand though, so like if he has the combo, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down again this turn. So he has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think he has 14 ink. So like he could play both Prince Philip Shift combo Prince Philip Shift and the Clarabelle back down if he has it. Starts off with the develop. I didn't get to see either one of those cards, but he did pick one of them. So let's see what he does here. He has a mother. He definitely has a Mother's Knows Best. Interesting. We haven't seen a bend from either player either this game, which is interesting. It's something we've seen in all 3 games so far, but I have not seen it yet in this one. I don't think either player's even drawn it yet, which I mean isn't weird because it's only one card. Like it's sometimes you just don't find it, but all right, we do see Mother's Knows Best come down onto the Don Duck, so he's going to stop him from being able to draw that extra card with Donald, which is going to be good. Let's see what else he has. See what else he has on the books for this turn. Oh, okay. He did have the bend. So promise I can't see the future. He did have the bend. He plays it down. Plays Cinderella. I don't think he's going to activate it. He quests with Prince Philip and Tipo. Because you don't want Basil to. You really don't want Basil to. Don't want Basil to quest, even though he is going to still. Yeah. What did he get rid of? Got rid of the Clarabelle. And he has the Prince Philip, but he didn't have the combo, so he just develops the Prince Philip to have the board presence there. Because again, he's at 13. He's at 13 lore here. So next turn he's threatening to get to 18 unless Sky can do something about his board. Oh, the improvise onto the Prince Philip is going to allow him to just go Prince Philip into the Basil. So the improvise is generating some really, really good value here. To be able to trade out Prince Philip with the Basil. And then bounces that back to his hands with the Basil, and now we're back to Fungus having no boards, and Sky is like I mentioned, like it was 11-0. Now it's 9-13, right? So he's slowly getting back into this game with those pieces, and just like questing out slowly but surely, and just like slowly inching himself back up to catching up in this game. Yeah, I mean, this is where this resource battle gets really interesting, where like both players are down to like 1-2 cards each. And so we really are just top decking care. Like we really are just like which player draws into the pieces that they need. So Fungus just used the improvise onto the Cinderella just to draw the card. And has to play the Prince Philip. And then it's tough because he's got that one card in his hand. But that one card in his hand is probably going to get Basil, I would assume. Whenever Basil quests, that card's going to go away. I see Malicious Mean and Scary. Is that the full combo? If it is, then no, it's not. He's got Donald Duck and Malicious Mean and Scary. Donald Duck comes down to the Basil quest to go to 11, and it was a bend. That makes a lot of sense. That's a tough top deck for Fungus. Sky's going to go up to 13 here, so now we're tied. We're tied with Lore, 13-13. But this game's definitely not over. Sky is going to be threatened to 14, 16, 17, 18 next turn. And Fungus is going to be sitting at 16 if he quests with Prince Philip now. Oh, the Prince Philip Award there is a scary card for Fungus to draw into. So now he is up to 16. Donald Duck Trigger, though, is going to let him draw 2 cards, which is super, super helpful. I think he just drew into a You're Welcome, which I think is going to save him in this game. Otherwise, things were getting hairy. Zimmer Fries come down. Going to give Tipo +1, but really just to draw that card. Just to make sure he knows what answers he has. He draws into a Clarabelle, which Fungus has 1 card in his hands. We're late. We're super, super late game here. That card's not really going to help him out other than questing potentially. He's going to quest with the Basil. Wow. Oh, man. That was a really, that vision could have been really, really helpful for Fungus. Oh, the John Silver comes down as well. I think that's it. Now Scott just quest out to get to, I think, 18? No, 19. Yeah, the John Silver. Yeah, the John Silver in this matchup doesn't always get played, but to stop a Basil from questing or something like this where other players top decking and they can't clear the board, super good play from Sky to get that John Silver down to stop that from stop Fungus from getting back into it. So yeah, super close game in Game 4. Sky takes it, and we're going into a deciding Game 5 in the finals, which is what you want to see in the finals of a DLC. So we'll be jumping back in after both players reset and get ready for Game 5. All right, we see the knuckle bump. Both players shuffled up, ready to go. Fungus gets to go first in this all-deciding Game 5. Gonna get the Clarabelle out. Pass it over to Sky. We're off to the races here. We can see Sky has ramp. That's good. What you wouldn't really want to see in this game is one player just not be able to, not be able to get off to the start that they want and be able to do the things that they want to do. Just because they miss ramp or something like that. So he's gonna have ramp. Decides to go develop on turn 1 here. Be able to search for whatever he wants to search for in his deck. Passes back over to Fungus. Fungus is going to use Sail to ramp up here. Is going to ink a Clarabelle. And again, we're just kind of off to the races here. Going to quest with the Clarabelle to go to 1. And we're ready to go. And you could see last game what I meant by how important some of these small quests are at certain points of the game, right? Fungus was too short of winning that game, right? He was going to be able to quest with the Ward Prince Philip to get to 18. So if he could have found 2 more somewhere, he wins that game. So sometimes these early Clarabelle quests are so important. Not to say that he missed any of that game, because I don't think he did, but that's why it's so important to get that value early on, which seems like nothing, questing with a Tipo or questing with the Clarabelle early on. It's it's 1, it doesn't matter, but it does matter sometimes. Anyway, so inks plays into Donald Duck, so both players are going to see more and more cards, which is fun. And as the player going first, he's down to 3 cards right now, right? So if he doesn't have the Clarabelle shift, having that Donald Duck is going to allow him to, draw into more answers and not just be top decking, which is good. So let's see how Sky decides to play this now going second. We've seen both players win going second at this point. So it's not, I don't think it's, obviously if one player has the Clarabelle shift into a You're Welcome, has what they need, then this matchup can be pretty tough going second. But if not, then this matchup is a matchup that I think is relatively fair on either side. I don't, I'm sure there's math saying otherwise, but I feel I don't feel as bad going second as I do into an aggro matchup or something like that, right? I feel there's a chance to come back going second in this matchup. So Ing's a Prince Philip here. Sky does. And we see a Cinderella will be coming down here. However, he plays a Cinderella. He knows that if Fungus has the Clarabelle shift, into your welcome that he's going to get so much value out of it. So he might not go with the Cinderella because of that. Yeah, it's a tough call here because this is one of those calls that can cost you the game. So he decides to go decides to go double one cost Clarabelle's to reduce to reduce the size of his hands. Also now, if Fungus has Clarabelle Chef to your welcome, he can only get rid of one of the Clarabelles unless he has two. So now if he does your welcome into a Clarabelle, Sky next turn could shift Clarabelle, play your welcome if he has his, and swing the game back into his favor. So I think that's a really good play there from Sky to get rid. For me, I definitely would have just played Cinderella and been like, I'm ramping, it's fun. But I think that's a really really great play there. Like really really good forward thinking there to reduce his hand size and generate more value for him, assuming that he has the pieces that he has, which I'm assuming he does based on the play that he made there. So Clarabelle is going to sink You're Welcome onto the small Clarabelle for Sky. So I mean, saying all that to say, Fungus is still going to be able to generate some value with this Clarabelle, right? Like he's still going to get the draw cards. So Sky has an opportunity to really, to really swing this back, But it's not like Fungus is just not playing well, right? Like that's great start for him there going first. Definitely what he's looking for. So I think Scott just drew into he definitely just drew into Bindu as well. Let's see if he has what he needs to have here. We see the Clarabelle. I think we see the Clarabelle shift and the You're Welcome. I think we see both. His only decision now is like, does he play it? Does he go for it? Because Fungus is sitting at 5 ink. It's not like he could bend him. I think that's going to be the right play. I think he's maybe deciding when he wants to ink here. Because he's already inked the Prince Philip, so inking that would feel a little bad for sure. Is going to ink it. Is going to shift to Cal. Is going to sing You're Welcome on the Fungus's Cal. Is going to, listen, he's just going to generate a lot of value here. And that's what, like, going second in this matchup, that's what I meant, like I mentioned before, like, doesn't always feel terrible, right? Like, getting to generate that extra value after the other play, like, after your opponent just did what they did, can feel pretty good. Because now he's going to get to draw a lot of cards here, and he has the board advantage here with the Clarabelles. Now, of course, Fungus could play another Clarabelle and swing it back in his favor next turn as well, right? Like, I'm not saying that this is... I'm not saying going on. You should pick up if you win the dice roll. You should go on the draw. Definitely, you shouldn't do that. But this type of play here, it does allow the player going second to definitely swing it back in his favor. And we saw that with Fungus, right? Like he went second the first two games and won both of them. So there's definitely a way to play into that. Going second in this game. So both players take the Donald trigger. Let's see what Fungus has. So Fungus is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's only got 5 ink. So that's what's I don't know. It's crazy in this game because you go from a game where you, last game you both of you had a ton of ink. Like you could basically just do whatever you wanted to on your turns, but you just didn't have enough cards to do those things. Versus now it's like, oh, like now I have to worry about that. Okay, he goes double Prince Philip. Ooh. That's pretty scary. And sings that You're Welcome onto the Clarabelle. So yeah, he's completely going to control the board now, with the Donald Duck and the double Prince Phillips. But both players have a ton of cards in their hands, and we know that Sky is holding Bend. We know Sky's holding Bend here. So if he can, develop into this, if he can develop something in this turn that could sing You're Welcome next turn, and then be able to bounce, like if Fungus plays a Clarabelle on the next turn, and is able to, bounce the Clarabelle back, and then like play bend to your will, like that'll feel pretty good, right? Like that'll feel pretty good. So let's see what he decides to do here. This is a big turn. I mean, it's possible he has double malicious being scary in his hand that he could just like wipe out both Prince Philip shifts. Because something else to think about here is that Fungus. I mean, yeah, like those Prince Philips are scary because they could shift, but like they also quest for 2, and so now Fungus is like he has 6 lore on the board now. Like he could get like he's on a 4-turn timer here, right? If he's able to quest, and that becomes an issue, right? Like obviously the objective of this game is to get to 20 lore. And these like small characters that like you can't target with a Mother's Knows Best or something like that, like you got to have characters or the combo to do something with that. So I think that's why we're seeing Sky really struggle with his decision here, is that he's got to have characters to get rid of those Prince Philips. Like they're not just going to get You're Welcome or something, right? So anyways, he's gonna start off with Sailing. He's gonna decide to like, let's build this Inkwell up because I have a lot of cards in my hands, which it's not a terrible decision, right? So gonna sail, draw another card, gonna get to ink twice. Ink a Donald Duck. He's got a lot of cards, probably don't need that. He's got a Tipo as well, so like he could ink and then Tipo and like really ink up here. Like he would be at. Okay, he decides to ink the Tipo, and then plays a Cinderella. Okay, that's basically the same thing, right? Plays a Cinderella, plays a Clarabelle. Now he's gonna be able to activate the Cinderella, and he's at 4-7. He'll be at 8 ink next turn if he does this, with the opportunity to ink and then be at 9. Yeah, which would then allow him to play the combo next turn, assuming that Fungus doesn't hit him with it this turn. So, anyways, does all that, inks up, and obviously dumps his hand down a little bit too. So if a Clarabelle comes down, Fungus won't get as much value from it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, Fungus is sitting at 7 ink here, so like he could obviously sing and play the combo. Does decide to develop a Clarabelle. Does he have a You're Welcome or something to generate more value? Let's see. He's already played 2 You're Welcome, so like that would feel bad. Like that, he statistically should not have that in his hands at this point, and he does not. So he is going to quest out here and take that 6 lore, and he's going to tell Sky, hey, like if you don't start getting rid of this board, like I'm just going to quest up and win this game. So he's putting on the lore pressure, and that Clarabelle is going to let him draw some extra cards, which is great as well. That's why it's great for Sky that he decided to kind of dump his hand there a little bit. Because now, I mean, if he has, he definitely has bends. Like at this point, he could, if he has like a Mother's Knows Best or You're Welcome, he could get rid of that Clarabelle and then bend Fungus, which it's still not going to stop the questing next turn, but definitely can just continue. Like next turn he'd be, if he quest out again, he'd be at 13. Which every turn you can get closer, it's like, hey, like. Tipo start getting scary. Like Cinderella's questing start getting scary. Like all these cards that you generally aren't scared of questing start getting very, very scary. So let's see what he decides to do here. Okay. Has You're Welcome. Gonna single the Cinderella onto the Clarabelle. And then he's gonna bend him here. But he's gonna wait and be a gentleman. I never know. Is it more? Comment down below if you're still watching here. Is it more BM to just go ahead and lay down the bend to your will, or should you wait until you get done drawing the cards? I don't know. It feels bad either way. Oh, so Fungus had bend as well. Double Donalds, he had the full combo. Wow. That was a really good value bend to your will there. He got a lot of good cards. Okay. So wow. Yeah, that's a lot of good value cards for Fungus. But like I said, I mean, this game is definitely not over. Like Sky had to use all of his ink that turn to make him discard all those cards. But like Fungus's board is still scarier, and he gets to draw 2 with that Donald, which is really, really important here. So let's see where he goes from here. He also could have just top decked another Clarabelle. I mean, that would feel awful. There's nothing worse than playing Bend and then playing Clarabelle next turn like that. That sends nightmares for sure. Okay, Inks plays the Basil, is going to bounce back something. Bounce back to Cinderella, which, is going to stop him from singing, singing anything with that Cinderella. But obviously will allow him to ink another card if he plays the Cinderella back down this turn. It also stops the Cinderella from swinging into a Prince Philip, right? Like those two Prince Philips that are questing for 4 every turn are going to get to continue to at least one more. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, at least for one more turn, because like he cannot play the combo here. Of course, the dream is alive that he could double Malicious Being Scary, right? Which, I mean, that's not how you want to spend your Malicious Being Scaries in this matchup. But like next turn, I mean, I think he has lethal on the board, right? He's got 8. Yeah, I mean, this game is over unless Sky can do something about this board. Which, I mean, he could shift Clarabelle and hit the Donald Duck. What, inks a Clarabelle? Okay, he's going to hit the Prince Philip, and he's just going to play Prince Philip, right? So it's going to clear off Donald and the Prince Philip. So now Fungus is only going to get to 17 next turn. Which, okay, so that was a good play from Sky. Gets the board down, and then, of course, Fungus is still top decking here. Plays a Tipo. Going to quest up for 4 to get to 17. Obviously, this board... Oh, I was like, what is he doing? Okay, Basil quested, so he gets to randomly get rid of a card here. Okay. We had to use a bigger die because he had 7 cards, but okay, gets rid of a Donald. I'm sure Sky is probably not going to play the Donald anyway. So, not the worst thing there. If he has a Shift Clarabelle, which I'm assuming he does since he inked one, we're going to see that come down this turn. We see a Basil in his hand as well, so we could see a Basil bounce a Basil, and then like Prince Philip, take out a Prince Philip. So a lot of options here for Sky to just continue to take care of this board. So now we're in this weird spot where Fungus is like 3 lore away from winning DLC Richmond, but Sky has all the cards, right? So it becomes a really interesting spot here, like whether Sky can continue to control this board or not, and it becomes even more interesting to see like does Sky respect the Tipo? Because very easily this turn I think he has a Shift Clarabelle. I think we saw it. Yeah, there it is. He can shift Clarabelle, use Prince Philip, take out Basil, or vice versa. Like he can clear both characters for that. But then he also has Mother's Knows Best. Is he going to respect the Tipo, or is he going to let him quest 18 next turn with the Tipo? Which again, like I'm not sure what the right call is, because you might want to say your Mother's Knows Best for a higher questing target. Okay, so he's going to use Prince Philip to take out that. He's going to hit the Basil with the little Clarabelle, and it looks like he's going to play another Prince Philip here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this guy could be debating that decision now, but I think he has to commit to the Prince Philip now at this point. Because if not, like there's nothing like he could Mother's Knows Best to Basil, but like that would feel bad. So yeah, commits to the Prince Philip. Is going to take out the Basil, but that is going to leave the Tipo up. So Tipo is going to be able to quest to get to 18 next turn if Fungus decides to do so. So all right, let's see what he draws into. Draws into a Vision. Oof. Let's see what Vision's going to give him. All right. Takes that. I mean, Clarabelle, maybe? A Clarabelle would be crazy. Like, the Sky's like, man, that's like the worst card you could have drawn. 2. Another Vision. So now at this point, it's like, you don't even want it to be a Clarabelle because you can't play it. Like, I think you got to develop something on your board this turn if you're Fungus. Okay. So 2. Another vision. So he's going to vision. He visions 3 times this turn. Because, like, the good thing about what Sky did with the Prince Phillips is, like, now if he quests with Prince Phillips twice, he can go up to, he's gaining 6 a turn. So he's doing kind of what Fungus was doing earlier, except with the 2 cards. Okay, so visions again. Into a develop. So he is digging here. And you think he's got to be looking for that Clarabelle, right? Quest with a Tipo. And passes back over. Okay. It's going to be at 18. Sky obviously has a massive board advantage here, but Fungus is 2 lore away from winning DLC Richmond here. So let's see how Sky handles this now. Okay, he's going to improvise onto the Clarabelle. Just draw a card. Okay, you want to be able to see as many cards as you can here, and you want to continue to just hold as many bounce cards as you can, right? Because you have to assume, or I would assume at least, that the card that Fungus has in his hand is a Clarabelle, right? Like that he is about to get a bunch of cards back to his hand. So you have to, just because of the fact that he's at 18 lore, you have to try to finish his game out fast as Scott. Like you got to try to get as much lore as possible here, which is going to stink for him this turn because he's most likely going to have to hit that Tipo with the Prince Philip, which will stop 3 lore from. I mean, it's gonna lose him 2 lore this turn because he'll only be able to quest with Clarabelle and one of the Prince Phillips. But of course, like he can't not get rid of that Tipo somehow. He's at 11 ink, so I don't think ink is really an issue here. Fungus is like, well, I'm waiting. Let's take a look and see what you got here. All right, he's gonna play something for 4. Donald Duck. Inking, you're welcome. He's going to play a Basil to bounce back. I'm assuming the Tipo. Because there's a world that he like hits Prince Philip in the Tipo, bounces that back so that he has. Okay, so he bounces the Tipo back. Now he's questing for 7, and we're kind of off to the races here now, right? But now at this point, Fungus has 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 8 lore. And goes Cinderella, double Tipo. So now he is representing 3 on the board, but also with 3 characters. Sky got rid of a You're Welcome last turn, which would be a way to get rid of one of the cards. So yeah, he's gonna need to get rid of. He's still singing Mother Knows Best, so one of the cards will get bounced back. Okay, he's gonna develop Prince Philip and something. Neither of those are gonna be helpful for him now. Hopefully, You're Welcome ink isn't gonna cost him here. Which obviously for Fungus, I mean, that ends up being the perfect play for him there, having 8 ink and being able to put down 3 characters. Because yeah, if he's got to have something to bounce, and I'm not. The 2 cards in his hands aren't bounceable. Okay, took something. And he's representing what, 2, 4, 7, 10, 11. Wow. Wow. So if he had Shift Clarabelle, he wins. So he goes up to 19, gets rid of a Cinderella. Yeah. And Fungus is gonna win. Fungus wins DLC Richmond with double Tipo quest. So that You're Welcome ends up costing Sky. Like that, and that's the only out that he had, right? That's the only out that it's the only out that Fungus had there, which was having with his 8 ink being able to play the 3 characters. Because if he's only able to get 2 characters down that turn, then that Mother's Knows Best would have just won Sky the game. So that's the only out that Fungus had. How crazy is that it's the 2 Tipos that wins him the game. So congrats to Fungus on winning. Congrats to Scott from getting second place. Like, crazy tournament. If you've played in DLC before, you know how hard it is just to get to day 2, much less played at this point. So great game by the players, great series. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you made it this far, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.